Let me start with a truth that hurts more than betrayal. If someone really loved you, you wouldn't have to keep guessing where you stand. You wouldn't be lying in bed replaying conversations, trying to decode tone, timing, and silence. You wouldn't feel calm one day and disposable the next. And you definitely wouldn't feel like love is something you have to earn by being patient, understanding, or quiet about your needs. But many of you are living this exact reality. You're talking to someone who says they care, but their actions keep slipping. They disappear when things get serious. They show affection when it's convenient. They promise change, but nothing actually changes. And every time you get close to walking away, they pull you back just enough to keep you hooked. So you stay. You explain their behavior to yourself. You say they're busy, confused, stressed, healing, not ready, or afraid of commitment. You start blaming timing instead of truth. Here's the uncomfortable part. You're not confused because they're unclear. You're confused because your emotions are fighting the evidence. Psychologically, this is what's happening. You're stuck in a validation loop. When someone gives you inconsistent attention, your brain doesn't relax, it goes into problem-solving mode. Dopamine spikes when they text, anxiety spikes when they don't. That push and pull creates attachment faster than stability ever could. This is how trauma bonds form, not through love but through unpredictability. If you're anxiously attached, you start overinvesting. You explain more, you give more, you tolerate more. You think if you just love harder, they'll feel safer and finally choose you. If they're avoidant, your emotional availability feels like pressure to them. The closer you get, the more they retreat. Not because you're unlovable, but because intimacy threatens their sense of control. And here's the brutal truth people don't like admitting. Someone can enjoy you, want you, miss you, and still not value you enough to treat you properly. Love is not measured by intensity. It's measured by consistency. If someone truly loved you, they wouldn't keep you in emotional suspense. They wouldn't make you feel like asking for clarity is asking for too much. They wouldn't let you feel unsafe in the connection while benefiting from your presence. And before you get defensive, this part is important. Some of you aren't being mistreated. You're overstaying where you're no longer chosen. You keep giving access to someone who has already shown you their limits. You're not being loyal. You're being afraid of loss. You're not being patient. You're avoiding grief. Now let's talk gender psychology without blaming either side. Men, on average, are taught to suppress emotional expression. When overwhelmed, many shut down instead of talking. That doesn't make emotional neglect okay, but it explains why some men pull away rather than communicate. Still, explanation is not justification. Women, on average, are more attuned to emotional shifts. When something feels off, they try to fix it through connection. They talk more, give more, and wait longer, but emotional intelligence without boundaries turns into self-abandonment. The mistake both genders make is this: they confuse potential with reality. You fall in love with who the person could be if they healed, tried harder, or finally realized your worth. But relationships don't work on potential. They work on behavior. Here's a painful reframe. If someone loved you but consistently acted in ways that hurt you, then love was not their priority. Comfort was. Convenience was, ego was, and that realization is freeing, not cruel. Because once you see that, you stop taking their behavior personally. You stop wondering what's wrong with you. You stop trying to earn something that should have been given willingly. The shift happens when you understand this. Real love feels boring to an unregulated nervous system. If chaos feels familiar, peace will feel suspicious. If inconsistency feels exciting, consistency will feel dull. That doesn't mean healthy love is empty. It means your system is addicted to emotional highs and lows. So the silent advice is simple, but not easy. Stop explaining behavior that makes you feel small. Stop calling emotional neglect miscommunication. Stop waiting for clarity from someone who benefits from your confusion. You don't need to confront. You don't need closure conversations. You don't need to prove your worth. You need boundaries that you actually enforce. Because the moment you stop overgiving, over-explaining, and overstaying, the dynamic changes. Either they step up or they fade out. Both outcomes give you your power back. Here's the line you need to sit with. If someone really loved you, you wouldn't feel like you're slowly disappearing just to keep them. And sometimes the hardest truth isn't that they didn't love you enough. It's that you accepted less than you deserved for far too long.